Presentation for the ATP production and regeneration. Starting with glycolysis, this begins glucose metabolism in all the cells to produce to pyruvate molecules. It occurs mainly in the cytoplasm, usually outside of the mitochondria. Cellular respiration uses oxygen from the outside environment and converts each of the pyruvate molecules to carbon dioxide. It will give us 3 of them, while trapping the energy released through that process, the glycolysis cellular respiration process, and it will trap that energy and release it in the form of ATP. The most of the ATP produced is aerobic cellular respiration. It is made by the oxidative phosphorylation. This works by the energy released in the consumption of the pyruvate being used to create a chemososmotic potential by pumping protons across the membrane, which is seen in our poster on the electron pump. ATP is a nucleotide that consists of the 3 main structures: the adenine, the sugar, and the nitrogenous base. Ribose is a chain of 3 phosphate groups bound to ribose. The phosphate tail of ATP is the power source of the cell taps. I think it's important, since we mentioned ribose, to go through and talk about where and how the ribose is made. It is a type of sugar that's made from the body from glucose. It plays important roles in the synthesis of DNA, RNA, and ATP. The pentose pathway, also referred to as the phosphogluconate pathway, is a metabolic pathway. It's going to be parallel to glycolysis, and it generates the NADPH and the pentose 5-carbon sugars, as well as ribose 5-phosphate, which is the last source for the synthesis of the nucleotide. The other nucleotides, they have are carried out by several enzymes in the cytoplasm. They're not prone to just one specific organelle. And the purines and the pyrimidines are carried out by 2 different pathways. The pyrimidines are synthesized from aspartate and carbamyl phosphate in the cytoplasm to the common ring structure, the ordic acid, which is phosphorylated ribosole unit. And the purines are first synthesized from the sugar template onto which the ring synthesis occurs from. Back to the ATP, where I left off saying the phosphate tail of the ATP is the actual power source. The ATP synthase is the enzyme that creates the storage molecule ATP. ATP is the most common used energy source of the cells for all the organisms. It is formed from the adenosine diphosphate, which is ADP, and inorganic phosphate, which you'll see referred throughout our poster as P subscript I. The overall reaction catalyzed by ATP synthase is ADP plus P subscript I plus H plus OUT. And then you have your reaction arrows, the forward and the reverse reaction of ATP plus H2O plus H plus IN. The ATP is a nucleoside triphosphate, which means it has the ribose sugar, the adenine base, and it actually is going to have 3 phosphate groups onto it. Where it's a nucleoside triphosphate, and its high energy bond attaches to the 3rd phosphate group to the molecule. This bond is normally highly unstable and is hydrolyzed. It releases a abundance amount of energy known as free energy. I was reading up on it, and I learned that the amount of energy it normally releases is 7 kcals per mole, which is a lot. In addition to the energy it provides, has other essential roles within the cell. It is one of the 4 nucleotides required for the synthesis of DNA, involved in replication, and protein synthesis, which is our RNA. It regulates different biochemical pathways. In mammals, it is released from damaged cells to elicit pain responses, and in photosynthetic organisms, it drives carbon fixation. It is unstable, like previously mentioned, and is used for almost every conceivable process in which the cell body must produce ATP to supply its needs. There's not really a metabolic pathway I can think of that doesn't require the ATP. In total, the organism's requirement for ATP is extremely important. I was reading that the average human body generates over 100 kilograms of ATP per day. So it's safe to say that this is the main energy source our body is going to use within the cells. The ATP synthase is the prime producer of the ATP in the cells, and with the catalyzing combination of ADP and or anorganic phosphate to make the ATP.